Welcome to the podcast, Kim.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here and to chat about all of this.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you. This is really the first of its kind of this conversation. And I'm super excited when I saw your information. I was like, wow, this is actually, I think, information that a lot of people need to know about,
Mhm.
including me. I'm excited to learn. So before we get started, I always like to start with an origin story, like how you got into this work and really how you discovered it in your own journey.
Well, I don't know if I would say I got into it. I think I was told by the universe that this is what I was meant to do. And so
I
I
love those
kind of,
kinds
I
because they're
mean,
always good.
the navigating of it, you're like, really? Like even this morning. So for some of you guys that don't know who I am, my name is Kim Rogers and I'm known online as the Worm Queen. And I
Love it.
hold that title very dear to my heart. I've made merch around it. Like it's really a fun title for such a yucky subject that people don't really want to talk about, but I'm happy to talk about it. I'm one of those people that at the dinner party that if you don't want to hear it, you should leave because I'm going to say it no matter what.
I love it.
I've always
Yes.
been that way. And now it's just worse because I talk about worms all day, right? Like I talk about
Yeah.
poop and worms. And it's poop is really not my favorite topic to talk about. However, it does go hand in hand with the worms. So, it's like you kind of have to take the good with the bad. All right. So I went viral on TikTok in 2021 and I went viral over a parasite cleanse. And that's why that's why I'm known as the Worm Queen. My community over there crowned me the Worm Queen so that I could go forward with something fun for a gross and an under talked about topic. And Western medicine doesn't talk about it. And shockingly enough, over the last few years, the wellness community doesn't talk about this either. And they don't understand that in order for our actual wellness to happen, you need to clean your soil. And cleaning your soil means you really need to do parasite cleansing and mold cleansing and get in there and really clean the soil out. And I'm going to go over why on this podcast it's so important to clean your soil. And if you don't do that, how sometimes it can be a waste of time. And it can also really not do a service for you. You're thinking you're doing all the right things. And in reality, there's just like a few things you really have to do in order to make your health go to the next level. And that's what I found out when I was on my journey. So I come from Western medicine. I am a Western medicine refugee, is what we kind of been jokingly talking about it with. Um, I've been in it since 2004. I hold 2 healthcare degrees. I ran 25 medical colleges. I was a professor. I've authored medical books. I've served on advisory boards. I've written national certifications. I worked in the emergency room. I did insurance. So I really have been very well rounded in Western medicine versus just going viral on TikTok. I just happened to go viral on TikTok on something that I really could speak about because it has to do with the human body. So I've been doing that since 2019, and my own health declined rapidly in 2019. And I set us up so that I could go out to our recreational property to either say goodbye or to figure out what was wrong with my body. And that's what we did. So in 2019, we headed out to a piece of recreational property to build a log home. And when I got out there, I was doing a pretty good job. I felt a little bit better. I got away from the stress. I started navigating with mushrooms and really getting off of my big pharma meds. But I still wasn't at an optimal level in 2021 that I wanted to be. I wasn't pooping regularly, which is a huge concern for myself. And actually, you should be concerned too if you're not pooping on a regular basis. It means something's going on internally. My skin was a wreck and I have really great skin. And so I really wanted to know what else was going on. And I was on TikTok. I had a small account that I was teaching people how to build a log home and grow mushrooms. So I had around 10,000 followers. I did a cleanse because I came across a gal's video that said I almost unalive myself over worms. And it stopped me in my tracks. And I thought, it's possible. Like it's possible that a lot of my symptoms are because I could have parasites. I
Mhm.
flare during the full moon. And I have a lot of the issues that she was talking about, specifically mental health issues. So I ordered what she was talking about, and within 3 days, I saw roundworm, flukes, and pinworms in the toilet, and I didn't even have to dig. They literally
That's
were just
crazy.
sitting on the top of the water, just pointing at me basically like, "Girl, this has been your problem
Wow.
for decades." And I have done this every day since then. I have talked about parasites 1,488 days in a row.
Oh
I've never
my
taken a day
God.
off
Wow.
because it's
That's
this important.
insane.
Mhm.
Oh, big time important. I have so many questions already. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, so how do people get parasites? Besides, like, is it raw foods? Like, what is it?
It's all of that. It's raw foods, your pets. I would say 100% of pet owners that have never dewormed themselves have worms from their dogs. I had the same worms as my dogs, but I also had a parasite from the water. So,
Hmm.
water is a way to get a parasite and not just a parasite. So, let me give you the definitions of what parasites are. The definition of the umbrella word parasite is anything that feeds off a host, and in
Hmm.
Latin terms, an unwanted dinner guest. So you have an umbrella. It's
You
so
make me
gross.
laugh.
So you got to, like, it's serious, but you got to do
No,
it
I
with a
know, I
smile.
know.
What are we going to sit here and be
I
like,
know it's serious,
"Ew."
but it's just, yeah.
It's serious. Like, you just have to go, it's so serious, like pointing and like seriousness. So if you look at then what happens underneath the parasites, there's lots of different words. There's protozoas, which is a parasite that's microscopic, that's usually
Mhm.
found in the water. So I had Cryptosporidium parvium, which is parvo, which unalives puppies. And my husband had
Wow.
D. fragilis, which is a sister to Giardia. We all know what Giardia is. We've heard it when you have a water break at your house, you have to boil your water. They're just afraid you're going to catch a parasite, right? And that they don't have good testing. So they can't give you a guarantee that, in fact, you didn't catch it from the water break. So
Right.
that's where we caught some of our parasites. But then there's nematodes, and nematodes are physical worms: roundworm, tapeworm, whipworm, pinworms, all of the physical worms. And our country doesn't test our water for nematodes, and those are the physical worms. We had nematodes in our water in Hoodsport, and it's a well that services thousands of people in that community. I've also tested my water here in Seattle, and it's tested positive for nematodes too. And as I've dug down deeper, I find out our country doesn't actually test for physical worms in our water, and they only test for protozoas. So now that everybody understands the
Wow.
difference,
That's
there is
crazy.
a significant difference in the two types of parasites that you would do a parasite cleanse for, right? We're not my ParaFy is not for lice and scabies. It is helpful, but that's also under the word parasites, but they're in their own definition. So now that everybody kind of has an understanding of what the difference is, it really does help when you're thinking about where you can catch a parasite. So a lot of dogs will go out and they'll lick everything. And then they have microscopic parasites that can go onto you and absorb into your skin when you let them lick on you, or if they're laying with you. It really is a thing. I had the same parasites as my dogs. My dogs had worms. I deworm them, but I never deworm myself.
Wow, that's crazy. That's true. It's true. We always focus on that.
It's really a crazy thought process that we are so concerned about our pets, you know. Another place that you can catch a parasite is salmon
Mhm.
and sushi,
Mhm.
raw meat, raw
So
produce.
salmon, raw sushi, raw salmon, or also
Mhm.
cooked? If it's
Well,
not cooked enough, maybe if it's undercooked.
so the salmon still has it inside. It's just if you cook it, it becomes dead.
Okay.
So salmon can hold up to 10,000 parasite eggs in 1 square inch of its body.
My God. Wow.
And the closer to the belly of the cut of the salmon, the more parasites. I live in Seattle, and I have gone down and interviewed the people at Pike Market, which is like the
Yep.
famous
I was
fish
there.
market.
Yeah.
And when I talked with them about this, they looked at me like I was crazy because I said, "So tell me which fish have parasites." And they go, "Well, all of them. They all have worms. it's natural. And I'm like, oh God, good thing I got that on tape. Because everyone seems to think that this is not a real thing, that you could catch a parasite from
Wow.
fish or seafood.
I think people are in denial. They just don't want to know. I think
Denial.
that's what it
I'm
is.
in denial.
I
I'll
don't
be
want to
eating
know
my
about it.
crab.
If
And
I
I'm
don't
like,
see
I
it,
hope
it
this
doesn't
is.
exist.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's true. So, those are like really simple ways that you can catch something like this. And then the problem is that after you catch it, it doesn't always become active, right? So it can lay dormant in your body. And then all of a sudden, something happens in your life that's very stressful and they feed off of low frequencies. And
Wow.
bam, all of a sudden, now you are sick and you have no idea why. And it's because you're continuously eating a parasite. Or say you go to Mexico. I mean, everyone goes, don't be drinking the water in Mexico. I don't drink the water in the United States.
Yeah.
I don't.
Me
Like,
neither. No, the tap water, no.
yeah, I don't eat raw produce in the United States because it's washed with our water. I don't use ice in the United States. Like, I'm pretty strict with those things since I've done a lot of cleansing and I just know.
You know too much.
I do. It's so unfortunate because salmon's my favorite. Like,
Yeah,
honestly,
so I'm
like,
guessing you're not eating any raw fish anytime soon.
no.
Yeah.
I'm not. But the funny thing about the word salmon is that it's actually my niece's last name.
Is it really?
It is. And I'm allergic to salmon. I've had my hair tested and it came back that I'm allergic to
Wow.
salmon. I'm like, well, that's because I have a negative frequency when I say salmon now.
Wow,
So
that's
it's
crazy.
I'm allergic to salmon. My niece's last name is Salmon. And on a daily basis, I talk shit about salmon. The Matrix is cruel.
You are so funny. This is really funny. It
I mean, what
really
are you gonna
is.
do?
No, it's true. There
It's
is
like,
a frequency. It's a real thing.
it's a real thing.
Just like we can't
Frequencies
see
are
the
real.
parasite eggs, we can't see the actual parasites, but the eggs, we can't
Yeah.
see the frequency, but we feel it for sure.
Well, we're a frequency, right?
Yeah.
So basically what I did when I realized that after I went viral on TikTok and I went viral over my own parasite cleanse, not ParaFy. I actually started my business a few months after, which, just for viewers to hear this and the community to hear this, I was still very ill when I went viral. It wasn't like all of a sudden I went viral and bam, I'm in the health I'm in today, like
Yeah.
it really was. I had parasites and then I found out we were living in mold in the middle of all of this. And then in 2023, I found out I had chronic end stages of Lyme. And that's what was
Wow.
like my uphill battle.
Yeah.
But I started a company over all of this because of the fact that I was spending all day long talking about other people's product, how you should take a parasite cleanse with a candida cleanse and a heavy metal cleanse because they all hang out together. And
Yeah.
so as I was doing all of the things while I was going viral, and when I say I was going viral, it wasn't a little viral. It was 1 million people watched my one video in 2 hours and it shut my account down. It shut my phone down. It overheated my phone.
Wow.
And then in since all of this time, that video has had 10 million views. My account used to get 40 to 50 million views a month. So it was like 1 million to 2 million views a day until TikTok smartened up. And anytime you say parasite, it's totally censored now. So, but we have 1 million followers across all of our platforms. And we also now have a 10,000 square foot manufacturing facility and 40 team members that help make the ParaFy cleanse, among other cleanses that we now make, because we really are an environmental toxin cleanse company that
amazing.
shows you how to get rid of parasites, mold, and assist with Lyme. So everything that's affected me, I made a business over it.
But you're helping people, which is amazing. This is what I always say.
Yeah.
That's like completely aligned purpose when, you take something that you have gone through and then you're not only helping yourself, but you're helping others. I think that that's when it really has an impact. And of course, it's a passion because you know what you went through.
Yeah. I was not a fan of parasites in my real life before this, though. I left the urgent care because I had to treat parasites, and I'm like, I'm out.
Very poetic how things happen. Yeah. And so tell us some of the things, some of the symptoms that people can have from parasites, because people can have it and not realize that they have anything. Like, what are some of the things that are red flags? Or, and you can also mention, you went through endometriosis as well,
Yes.
which a lot
Yes.
of listeners have gone through.
So some of my symptoms of endo happen to be parasites, mold, and Lyme.
Mm,
I'm just going to
yeah.
put it out there.
Yeah.
I had a hysterectomy when I was 29 years old. I had 5 surgeries prior to the hysterectomy, and then I had 5 surgeries after the hysterectomy. Total amount of surgeries I've had due to endometriosis has been 13. And in 2019, I was told after my last surgery that I could no longer have surgeries and that this is the way I was going to have to live, in pain, bloated, uncomfortable, not pooping, and just trying to regulate my daily pain. And
Wow.
that to me is not acceptable.
No,
And so that's
100%.
really what made me dig in even more. And now looking back and all the research that I've done, I can't believe that these things were not brought to my attention. It's been 20 years. I'm 47 years old. So it's not like this was something that was really common back then to talk about. And that's why I'm so passionate about it. It's really upsetting that our Western medicine countries don't understand that someone needs to clean their soil first before
Mhm.
they do a life altering surgery or a life altering event. I was on chemo twice. It damaged my bones. It damaged my body. It didn't stop the endo from growing. And every time I would watch a surgery or I would look at pictures, I always thought, this looks really suspicious. And when I went to my doctors and said that, they just gaslit me. And I would research, but like at what point, even with the amount of knowledge I have, and when I say that I'm smart, it's not because I'm trying to have a big ego. I literally was valedictorian over 2 medical degrees.
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
really smart. So when I went to my doctors and I said, hey, like this just doesn't look right. Like, could you explain this to me? And they're not able to explain it for a few reasons. One, they just don't know.
Mhm.
And it's not their fault.
Right.
You're reading a
It's just
book.
not in the system.
That's right. That's right. Their indoctrination did not allow them to speak about it.
Yeah.
Right. And then their malpractice fear does not
Yep.
allow them to go outside of the box. So it's my
100%.
job
Yeah,
out.
truth.
It's the truth. It's
Yeah.
the truth. And I know because I was a licensed medical specialist. I
Mhm.
worked in the field and I went out of the box all the time. I actually
Mhm.
let my license go so that I could speak about this even more.
Wow.
So I went viral in July and I let my license go in September because I knew that if I came out the way I knew I was going to come out with this, that it wasn't going to be something that I could like defend with a license anymore, you
Yeah.
know? And so I think that looking at all of this and me actually being a part of Western medicine, writing, education, academia, all of those things played a huge part in having a better understanding that
Right.
people that are not in the medical world, they really don't have any idea. And so it's really important for you as a human to be able to advocate for yourself, to be able to have sovereignty over your own body. And I think 2020 really taught that to
Yeah.
people. And I feel like that's another reason why I know this is my destiny because everyone was in lockdown in 21. Everyone was looking for what is a way that they can take sovereignty over their health and figure it out with doing something natural. And that's what I talk about every day. I don't just talk about parasites. I literally now show everybody everything I've done to heal my body. I have podcasts over it. I
Mhm.
literally want the world to be in a wellness space versus we're constantly reacting to our health. Now that we know that our culture does not talk about parasites, mold, it is important for us as a society to talk about it.
Mhm.
And so, even if you're looking at it in a different lens, it still is going to happen to you whether you think that you can catch a parasite or not.
Yeah.
Everybody has parasites, in my opinion.
It's almost like environmental toxins. It's just like it's
Mhm.
there.
It's an
And,
environmental
we're
toxin.
porous
Mhm.
beings. So at one
Yeah.
point or another, we can't get away from it. So we have to be proactive.
That's right. That's right. You have to be.
Yeah.
And now that we know this, I mean, this is what I do every day. Honestly, I do 1 to 3 hours of podcasting a day. And then in the
Wow.
mornings, I run a business to make sure everybody is aware of what this movement is. And then I do my podcasting. And then in the afternoon, I do content around all of this because it's so important that if you think that you've got IBS, you're grinding your teeth, your skin is a wreck, your labs come back normal, you don't feel like yourself, you can't reconnect with your intuition, you're constantly depressed, you're constantly anxious, it's because you potentially have a parasite. I
Wow.
mean, you look at just, I do videos about 21 signs, like you've got reoccurring yeast infections, you have BV, well, you have candida, and candida is a parasite.
Right.
And candida is a yeast in our body that overgrows and controls your mind, telling you to eat sugar because that's what it feeds off of. So that takes it to a next step. Can parasites control your mind? Absolutely. Parasites control your mind and mold brainwashes you. And if you think about that in a live frequency, they're alive in our body and they hijack our nervous system. They get into our lymphatic system and then they cause our brain gut to not connect. And your gut is your brain. They
Enteric
need,
nervous system.
that's right.
Yep. So yeah, that's a microbiome can really impact your brain. So it would make sense totally that
Yep.
parasites would as well.
And then you bring in the other aspect of the heavy metals, and the heavy metals weight them down. Well, we're exposed every day to heavy metals. I'm looking at my water. It's in glass, right? But it's got this on top of it. Okay. Okay, well, this is just life. Do you think that maybe there might be something that could seep in at some point when you've got, like, so I can't avoid it, but what I can do is I can cleanse it. I can assist my body, assist my organs by using herbs to go in and direct what needs to be pushed where. And that's all I did with the ParaFy kit. When I realized after going viral, one, that the company that I was talking about at the time would not disclose transparency about what's in their product, I realized that this is actually a thing with most companies. I said, "What are the natural ingredients that you have on the back of your is this lab? Are you soaking your herbs?" And they're like, "Well, we can't disclose that. That's patent." And I'm like, "What do you mean you can't tell me why there's color, there's coloring inside of your tincture?" I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. So I created my own and I'm very transparent.
I love that. So talk to us about what you did actually create in these cleanses. Like what do they do? How long does it work?
So it's a 30-day cleanse.
Mhm.
And I recommend anybody that has infertility issues, that has reproductive problems, to actually go in and do a ParaFy Parasite Cleanse. I look back now, I have no regrets, but I do look back and think, if I was able to have done this, would I have needed a hysterectomy? And the answer really is no. I've also had a lot of people that have infertility issues done my kit and actually have babies. I can name 3 people right now that
Hmm.
I sent kits to personally, and they have 1-year-old boys. I don't know what it was, but that year happened to be a lot of boys. And so
And you wouldn't recommend doing this as you're trying to conceive. You would say, do this, pause, and then try after.
yeah, because wormwood dictates the fact that, like, it can push out any sort of what they think could be a toxin. That's what the
Hmm.
herb does. And
Yeah.
so I don't recommend that if someone is actively trying or is
Hmm.
on IVF to actually do a parasite cleanse. But
Yeah.
if you're pausing and you know that you're going to go for it, then you should be cleaning your soil. You should
Hmm.
get in there, because once your body relieves itself of something that it's already living with, right? Because these are living things in our bodies. They're physical living beings in our bodies. So once it gets rid of that, it can get itself prepared to have another positive living thing living inside of your body, taking your nutrients.
Hmm.
So parasites can take up to 90% of our nutrients. And that's why people that have hookworm have anemia. That's why people that have a
Hmm.
tapeworm are
Interesting.
skinny or are totally overweight and cannot lose weight no matter what, because it's stealing the nutrients that your body needs. It's acting like your body, but your physical body, your physical being is not getting those nutrients. So
Hmm.
now it's suffering. Multiple different places are no longer getting the 100% energy that it needs in order to operate. And it's relying now on another team member inside, right?
Hmm.
So it's really an unfortunate thing when you do have a parasite. And that's why we all end up being somewhat chronically ill because of
Hmm.
that. So if you look at that in a whole, when you're trying to get pregnant and you're having a problem, why not give it a try? Like, get in there and clean your soil. Get in
Hmm.
there and make sure that what you're doing is going to stick. And one, you're not wasting money. I mean, you're going to take all these supplements and do all these things, but if your physical body is not getting that what it's needed, it's a
Hmm.
waste.
100%. And talk also about like mold toxicity, because that's something that I think a lot of people don't really know. And like, it's kind of like people have heard about it, but they don't really know what it is and what it does. And there's different types of mold. I know this is more specific to like toxic black mold, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
It's actually all mold.
Is
It's
it?
not just black mold.
Oh.
So, multiple different molds that get into your body. So, I have 11 active molds in my body. I've researched mold a lot. So I went viral in 21, and then in 2022, I found out that we were living in black mold in our travel trailer while we were building our log home. And when I found that out, I moved us out immediately.
Hmm.
And it wasn't just black mold that tried to unalive us. It was green mold, which is called cladosporidium. I had like
Hmm.
cryptosporidium and then I had cladosporidium. I'm like, really? Again, playing on the words, universe. So I ended up finding out that specific molds that accumulate inside of your body end up causing you to feel a certain way. So,
Hmm.
green mold was at a high toxic level in my body, even though green mold normally doesn't unalive people like black mold will. But when it pairs with other molds, it will create an ecosystem storm in your body, and
Hmm.
your cells absorb mold. So, if you cut yourself in half and you looked at yourself, it would look just like the wall, right? It would be clusters of mold and it would be growing. And that's what happens in our cells. And then it pushes our cells out of the way because the colonization of the mold has to be in there. And
Hmm.
so it pushes those cells out. And those cells are needed. Our red blood cells are needed, and it can grow inside of those, our white blood cells. So the cells need the energy, and the mold is taking that energy. And then you get
Hmm.
parasites. Most people that have mold end up having parasites, and most people that have mold poisoning end up testing positive for Lyme.
That's crazy. And so, if you think about like mushrooms and fungus, I mean, it is kind of related. Is there any kind of connection with that? Like, or does it help? And, certain types of mushrooms help?
So mushrooms are a positive frequency and
Hmm.
mold is a low vibrational frequency, and we're
Okay.
made of frequencies.
Yeah.
So
Right.
all I did when I created all of this and when I realized mushrooms were great is that you look at the frequency of that herb and what
Hmm.
the frequency of that ailment is. And so you realize that we're made of frequencies and light. And
Hmm.
so when you're bringing in certain medications, synthetic driven, it's just a frequency to target that ailment. That's
Hmm.
all this is,
Yeah.
right? So I think people, oh, we take it and it absorbs and it goes to all places, but you're absorbing a frequency.
Hmm.
And so I think it's hard because we've never really been taught this type of medicine before. We
It's
just
true.
think of it as a physical thing.
Hmm.
But if you think about how
But the physical thing's a reflection of that.
yes. Yes. Like when an opera singer gets her voice to the same frequency of a glass and it can shatter,
Hmm.
that's a frequency.
Right.
And so if you find out, like I realized that mushroom frequencies and wormwood frequencies and Oregon grapefruit, those are all positive frequencies. And so
Hmm.
when you put them into your body, they're going to snuff out the negative ailments that
Right.
are being caused, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of similar to a soil-based, a spore-based probiotics. because they create an environment that doesn't allow the bad bacteria to grow. So it kind of creates a different pH. So it's almost like a police, a
Mhm.
police, but a good police, that takes care of your body and kind of makes sure that everything's run well, and like bad opportunistic either mold or bacteria just doesn't proliferate. So kind
Yeah,
of similar.
it's a defender.
Hmm.
That's good. It's policing what it needs to do,
Yeah.
right? That's so good. It's
Yeah.
defending. It's like, "Yo, man, I'm up in here. I don't have time. Like, I am going to protect. I'm gonna break down and I'm gonna protect because that's what you brought me in to do, right?"
Hmm.
So, if you look at everything that you put on your body and in your body and the things that you are doing, they all have a frequency.
Hmm.
So, it's really
It's
the
true.
best way to simplify what medicine is.
Hmm. And so the para cleanse is
Mhm,
that
for sure.
the para
Yeah, it's called ParaFy, and
parafy?
it's a parasite cleanse that's
Hmm.
30 days. It's 3 tinctures and a binder, and it's
Okay.
everything that I learned over the last well, in that time when I created it, we've never changed our parasite cleanse because that's how good it is. This is the original, we've never changed the recipe. When I went viral in July of 2021, I started the company in December. So in that time frame, I studied all night. I researched everything. I read every comment in my DMs and on my videos. And at that point I was making videos like 3 or 4 a day, and I was doing it so that I could gain the knowledge from people that were watching it, and they would go into the comments and they would tell me what they use, what they do, how they do it, and one of the things that was a miss for me was a binder. On the first couple of cleanses I did, I come from the emergency room, I come from Western medicine, we don't use charcoal or clay. We use charcoal in the emergency room, though, when someone comes in overdosing or with alcohol poisoning, and we use it in
Right.
a large amount.
Hmm.
But in herb world, we use it at a microdose. So I realized that one of the biggest things that I was missing and why things were coming out of my skin and in my mouth and like I was peeing them out is because I wasn't binding. And
Okay,
so
so
that was a big
explain
one.
that. I have a very, very smart audience and they love to really educate themselves, which typically that's what they have to do because they're not really getting their
Yep.
answers elsewhere. So I'd love for that to be broken down. Like, what's the difference between having a binder? What is it? And also what the herbs do and why you need the two together.
So our binder is called Cinnabon, and I chose Ceylon cinnamon and coconut activated charcoal. We all know those words, right? So Ceylon cinnamon helps with mold spores. So when you are deworming, you're dropping whatever's inside of their body if you have physical worms. And when you're breaking down microscopic, it's also could be dropping viruses, bacteria, mold spores, other parasites. So you have to come in with herbs that are synergistically going to help remove those things while they're getting dumped in your body. So you might not have ever tested positive for Epstein-Barr virus, but you might have had a worm that was holding that virus like I did. And then all of a sudden you do a cleanse and it dumps it because you didn't have an herb in there to push it out and also to bind it. So a binder is a negatively charged herb that attacks and magnetizes a positively charged toxin. So it's a magnet. So when you are cleansing, specifically with ParaFy, you're doing candida, parasites, bad bacteria and viruses, and heavy metals. You're going in and you're removing potentially a physical body that's going to dump that. And then once it's in your body, you have to bind it and push it out, or your body is going to try and reabsorb it. So you're basically boosting up your
This
immune
is why people
system.
feel sick because
Yes.
you're basically taking something that was dormant, kind of sitting underneath, behind, and then you're bringing it out. You're kind of activating it. So while you're activating it, you need to attach and remove it rather
Yes.
than circulate it, which a lot of toxins, detoxes used to do, or certain
Mhm.
detoxes without binders in general, or even like cleanses that people did.
Yeah. That's what I did to myself. That's what my husband did. We
Hmm.
just took one tincture. We just took an anti-parasitic tincture and that was it. Well, I got heavy metals coming out. It gave me candida. I had them coming out my skin. Like we did a fulvic soak. They came out my feet. Like it was really like, oh my God, why do people do this? Right? Why are people putting themselves through this? Well, I did feel better, but the amount of detoxing I did because I wasn't doing it right.
Right.
And one of the biggest things you have to do, even after a massage, I mean, as a simple massage, you should bind because of the fact that here, I'll give you guys a real quick anatomy and physiology lesson. And it's because you'll have an understanding of the lymphatic system and why you need to bind. So our lymphatic system doesn't have a sphincter. It doesn't have a pump, and it's our sewer system. So the sewer system is under our body. And when you get something even like a massage or you get on a vibration plate, you've just knocked loose, like you said, something that could be dormant. You just knocked it loose. And it's like, well, where do I go? Oh, this place looks really great to go to. I'm going to go ahead and attach myself here and cause another problem. But if you do that and then you bind, the binder comes in like a police officer and says, yeah, no, get out, go. It's going to bind itself and move itself out, right? That's the job of the charcoal, and that's the job of the cinnamon. The cinnamon helps with inflammation, and inflammation is mucus, and mucus is where they live. They live in a biofilm. They meaning mold, parasites, candida. They live in a hardened shell. So you got to break the shell. And those are all of the things that I had to learn. And then I incorporated that into the ParaFy Parasite Cleanse
Very
Kit.
interesting.
Yeah. So because no one has biofilm busters in their cleanses, right? So even if you go to like Paragard, which a lot of people know what Paragard is, it's $30 on Amazon. It's what I went viral over, but it doesn't have a biofilm herb in it that breaks the biofilm. And so you're just going in and cleaning out some of the stuff that's literally just floating around. That's not the purpose of a cleanse. The purpose of a cleanse is to get down and dirty and police and get all these things out, but you got to break down their house. You got to burn it down in order to expose them.
Yeah. And also, have you heard of like zeolite or bentonite clay? What are your thoughts on those?
They're great binders.
Yeah.
Zeolite can be taken with anything, and it's a good binder. Fulvic's a great binder, and it can be taken with anything. And in
Fulvic
fact,
acid, yeah.
we're working on, well, we have a fulvic soak, so you can actually soak your feet in a fulvic soak that we have. And I had worms swim out of the bottom of my feet when I did a fulvic soak.
Wow.
I know, man. I went viral over so many gross things. I'm like, listen, I'm already in the thick of it. The
I
world knows that I had worms.
So funny.
I'm going for it, you know? So
Totally.
and then I'm going to let everyone else have the opportunity to buy what I'm talking about, because fulvic is great. It's really a great mineral, that fulvic humic we need in our bodies to help our mitochondria and to really help bind out toxins and heavy metals. So in fact, next year
it comes from Shilajit, right?
Yeah. That's one of the places.
One of the places that
the fulvic that we use is a peat moss, and it's just dirt. Fulvic is just dirt. That's it. So there's ways that they will create things like Shilajit, but fulvic itself is just peat moss that comes from dirt. But the peat moss absorbs the nutrients that our dirt needs. So if you go and you do a fulvic foot soak, and then when you're done with that water, if you go dump that on your plants, they're going to grow exponentially, and it's going to be wild how fast they grow. So growers for all sorts of growing use fulvic to help their plants grow, but it detoxes our bodies.
Right. Amazing. And just FYI, if you guys do want to get information, the link is in the episode notes, and I do have a coupon code as well.
Nice.
Very cool. So you have the ParaFy kit, you have the fulvic acid. Yep. What else do you guys offer? And also the ParaFy kit helps with mold.
So we actually have a mold kit. Okay. So all of the environmental toxin kits that we have, our first one is ParaFy. That's the old G. That's the one we've had for 4 years. But In May, I developed the lymph kit, LYMF. It helps move your lymphatic and it helps with your 3 Ps. Your 3 Ps are peeing, pooping, and perspiring. And I use the lymph kit every day. And so you can actually use the lymph kit 2 weeks prior to the ParaFy kit. And then you continue to take it while on the ParaFy Parasite Cleanse. And it helps keep your pathways open.
So
I
it's safe
use
to take daily. It's like fine.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's your
Okay.
wellness bestie now. Instead of a
Okay.
cleanse, it's a
Yeah.
wellness kit. So you literally can wake up in the mornings and you can take Lymph, Holy Skull, and Sustain. And what those tinctures
Except for
do,
pregnancy, correct?
right?
Okay.
We don't
Yeah.
recommend anybody taking anything while pregnant, breastfeeding under the age of 3, and that has to do with the herbs, on chemo meds, or on blood thinners. Wormwood's a blood thinner, and Oregon grapefruit can thin your blood. And so if you're already on that, then you don't want to do the two things. We also have in my link in my profile, or in your show notes, I have a link. Hello, pharmacist. So if you're ever wondering about, can I take my meds with these herbs,
Oh, that's
not just
great.
our herbs, any
Yeah.
herbs,
Right.
that's the website to go to. And they love us. I mean, I've sent millions of people over there.
Awesome.
We've had, we've sold over 250,000 kits worldwide in 4 years. So they love us because we're constantly telling people, like, I can't give you medical advice. I'm just here to talk about herbs.
Yeah. That's great. That's
Yeah.
really, really good information. Amazing. Wow, there's so, so much. I'm trying to think of what else do I have? Any other questions? Um, so is there something that people should be considering when they're taking the cleanse? Do they need to drink extra water? Is there anything that they need to do while they're taking it or kind of keep in mind?
So in the show notes, my link tree will be there. And in my link tree, I have 5 free ebooks.
Hmm.
Everything I do is free. You can email my team anytime. You can utilize these books with my cleanse or without. So one of the books is Fast Track Guide. It's like 10 to 15 pages and it tells you how to get ready. I have a cookbook that right now is a no meat based cookbook, but over the last few years, I've done a lot of research and you should have some meat protein while cleansing. But this will assist you in getting ideas. It's like 123 pages. At Christmas this year, we'll have a meat protein based cookbook that is approved for parasite cleansing. And I also have a book that is for drainage pathways to open up your drainage pathways. And then there's a book that is a parasite identification ebook that if you're looking and you're wondering what's in the toilet, you can either send us pictures and I will help identify them, or
That's
you can look in
great.
this 600-page book because I have around 25,000 pictures on my phone that I get sent
Wild.
every day. Yeah, it's wild.
That's that's so crazy.
It's so
Very
crazy.
very interesting. I mean, really really fascinating information, and I'm actually excited because you guys were like generous enough to send me a kit as well. So I'm excited to start it. Um, so wow. So how can people find you? I know you'd mentioned a couple of different ways, but how can people find you if they're interested in learning more?
Well, you can Google me, Kim Rogers, Worm Queen. You can find me.
Unforgettable.
I know. This is why I have a crown. Like, even right up there, like, people send me crowns. It's so funny. It's
I
just
love
such
it.
it's
It's
such a
great.
fun name. I have it on all my merch.
It's awesome.
Anyway, so you can find me by Googling me that way, or you can go to my social media accounts, Mrs. Rogers Hood, MRSROGERSHOOD. On Instagram, there's a dot after Rogers and Hood. Someone has the whole name put together. I feel for her DMs. And then you can find my website, rogershood.com. My podcast is called What's Eating You with the letter U. That's on YouTube as well as all streaming platforms. So I'm pretty much everywhere. If you just type in Worm Queen, I'm sure I'm going to pop up somewhere.
Oh, awesome. Well, Kim, this is such a great and fun and funny episode, but really like amazingly important too.
Yes.
And great information. I think that a lot of people would not even consider thinking about this. So I really thank you for bringing this up and kind of sharing your amazing information. So thank
Yeah.
you so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.